Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here in Northborough. If you have not seen this show before, my name is Art Bergeron. My day job is as an elder law attorney at Myrick O'Connell, far away in Westborough. But my fun job is this, which is really talking about my friends Frank and Mary. If you've been to one of my presentations, seen one of my seminars, you know that Frank and Mary have a very simple goal in life. They want to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And if that's Northborough, that means they want to be staying right here, like forever. They don't want to move to San Diego with their kids. They don't want to leave. They want to be here. And so the point of this show is to let you know the people you need to know and the programs you need to know about if you want to do exactly that, if you just want to stay here. So with me is my wonderful co-host, Liz Tridiak, who started in the senior center right at the beginning of COVID. It's like the first anniversary of COVID, you know, it's like a year. But it has done this great job of actually meeting a whole lot of people. You know, you've got, that come through the events at the senior center, as well as online. And she finds these great people for us to talk to. She's got some wonderful guests today. So Liz, whom do we have?
Today, Arthur, we have Kevin Donahue with us, and he is the community outreach coordinator for the Worcester County District Attorney's Office. So Kevin, welcome to our show. Welcome to Frank and Mary.
Thank you.
So happy to have you here.
Yes.
Pleasure to be here. I want to thank you and Arthur for inviting me on the show today.
Not a problem. We actually had a great conversation earlier, Arthur. So you mentioned how I had started right before the pandemic. Kevin also started just a couple months before the pandemic started in his role. So Kevin, why don't you tell us about how you got to be where you are now?
Okay. Basically, I was an elementary school teacher for 35 years. I worked in Spencer, Springfield. I taught third grade for 25 years, and I was pre-K to fourth grade teacher for phys ed for my last 10 years. So I look at my last 10 years, I got to play out my career, so to speak, because I've always been a guy that likes to stay active. But once I retired, like I said, I knew I wanted to still be involved. So I applied for a part-time position for a job with the district attorney's office. And District Attorney Early thought I'd be a good fit for his community outreach program. So I got hired in January of 2020 for the community outreach program, and I began training for what they thought would be a lot of in-person presentations. And then COVID struck. So the idea of in-person presentations was gone. So it was a big learning curve for me, just as well as everyone else, where how are we going to reach out to our seniors and keep them informed if we can't be in person with them. And so the DA's office has a subscription with Zoom. And so I started doing Zoom presentations. And basically, there is a disconnect with some seniors with technology. So it has been difficult as far as that goes. But I've been this is how I got in contact with Liz. I've been reaching out to all the senior center directors and council on aging directors that are in Worcester County. And I've been basically just talking to them to find out what services are still being offered to the seniors and how the seniors have been doing with the vaccination process. And a lot of seniors senior directors were echoing the same thing. They had a big concern about the vaccinations because it was just a very difficult task for the seniors to be able to do. But with the new Mass website that's out there, they find it much easier. A lot of senior center directors now have a few people helping them to register the seniors for the vaccine. So there's hope that, we're basically through this pandemic, like I saw that you said in one of your shows, well, we just got to grin and bear it a few more months and hopefully we get back to normal. And by normal, I don't mean masks are all gone. We'll probably still be wearing our masks, but it would be nice to just be able to go outside, to be with our family, be with our friends, go back to the senior center and be able to converse. I think that's a big thing that's missing.
Kevin, I love that you did your homework and watched a few Frank and Marys before you came on.
Right. We can also send you a complimentary box set, you know, of like the best shows like last year. If you just let us know, let us know.
Oh my goodness. So Kevin, we've been talking a lot over the past couple of weeks, and one of the main topics we've been talking about is fraud and scams that's happening in our senior population. And before we came on the air just now, I was telling Arthur and Kevin how here at the Northborough Senior Center, I know personally two folks who come here often who've fallen victim to different scams on the computer and on the telephone. And the Northborough Police Department has been fantastic, but these people are nervous to even say that they've fallen for a scam. They're embarrassed about it. So, Kevin, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the different scams that are going on and why people should speak up about what's happening to them.
All right. Before I even talk about the different scams, I just want to touch upon what you said about being embarrassed. You know, people have to realize there's nothing to be embarrassed about. I mean, it can happen. It can happen to me. It could happen to Arthur. It could happen to you. I mean, in a split decision, we make the wrong choice. We click on a link in a text message or in an email. You know, it appears to come from a company that we normally do business with, and we think it's real, and we click on it. Next thing you know, it's asking us for our personal identifying information, and we're sharing this information. I mean, it can happen. Like I said, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. But if it does happen to you, I think the most important thing to realize is share that information. I mean, call your local police department. Let them know, because most police departments put out, you know, they put out their own public broadcast to share with people to let them know the scam is in our area. Share it with the FTC. Share it with your senior director in Northborough. Share it with Liz. Share it with, you know, your friends, your relatives, just so they don't fall prey to the same scam. Like I was telling you earlier, I don't know how many people are familiar with Shark Tank, but Barbara Corcoran, who's on Shark Tank, she lost almost $400,000 in an email scam. Someone sent her an email, told her that they were one of the builders that was working on one of her projects. I believe that was in Germany, redoing apartments or whatever. She just sent that money right out. And then last week, Attorney General Maura Healey received a phone call from an imposter scam. This person was posing as someone working for a utility company, and he was contacting her because of an overdue bill. And if she didn't make payment immediately, power is going to be shut down. But what Maura Healey did was she went right to social media. She shared this with everyone so everyone would be aware of it. She put it on the state website. The best thing we can do is share this information. If we know it, if it's happened to us, or if it almost happened, someone contacted us. Just get the information out there so it doesn't happen to someone else. And, you know, before I touch upon any particular scam, I mean, there's a lot of red flags. Someone contacts you, you're going to pay them with gift cards, or they want a wire transfer. Why? Because those are the hardest to trace and reverse. Okay, or someone contacts you out of the blue, like, and they tell you they're from the IRS, you owe back taxes, but they need your personal identifying information. The IRS is never going to call you. They're not going to text you. They're not going to email you. The only way they're ever going to contact you is through the United States Postal Service. So we don't have to worry about, you know, that type of scam. Another red flag, you know, like I said, they're calling you, they're asking you for money, or you get a robocall. You hear a robocall, it's an automated service, because many people say, I don't know what a robocall is. If you pick up the phone, it's an automated recording. That's a robocall. Now, some robocalls are legal, but most of them aren't. Most of these robocalls we're receiving are illegal calls, and they want you to click on a link, because as soon as you press a number, they know they have a live number. And at that point, you're going to get more robocalls, and it's never going to end for you. Like the National Do Not Call Registry, people will tell you to put your number in it. But if you do, it doesn't mean robocalls are going to go away. Someone's already breaking the law. They're going to continue to break the law. With that, I'm going to stop. District Attorney Early just popped on, so I just want to welcome Joe.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kevin.
And by the way, this guy is really good, Joe.
Oh, he's tremendous.
You hired the right kind of guy. guy. This is just a terrific in terms of really being a wonderful spokesman for the stuff that you really want to be focusing on.
Yeah, and it's sad after we had a case just last week where a woman fell for the grandmother scam, where she got a call saying it was her, and the guy knew everything. It was her grandson. You need to bring some money over. Don't tell mom and dad I get arrested. Bring it over to a certain address. We think they probably watched her when she went to the FedEx place. They gave her a very specific place for the FedEx on a street in Worcester, and then they gave her a very specific address to FedEx to deliver it. We think there was no one home there, and when it was delivered, then the police got involved and did a great job trying to stop it, but FedEx couldn't get the message they got the message sent to the delivery driver, but he didn't see it in time. The package was delivered and she was out $8,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it just never stops. It's
It's
so
awful.
sad. That's why with Kevin making everyone aware of these problems is a great thing to do, and he does a great job with it. We're lucky to have him.
No, and I think he was really emphasizing that the key, if you're a senior and something happens to you, you want to report it. Of course you're embarrassed about this thing, and it may be that you won't get your money back, probably, but you're helping your community. You're helping the people around you by reporting it.
You really are. You're saving someone else from becoming prey to one of these scams. Look, it's embarrassing. As we get older in life, we get forgetful. We don't want to admit to anyone that, hey, we might have just gotten taken advantage of, but you've got to do it. You've got to do it because you're potentially saving someone else from falling prey to these scammers, and they're good at what they do. So we have to be smarter than them.
Right. Right. I'm just dealing with a client. I do work around here and also on the islands, on the vineyard in Nantucket. And I'm literally going down to have somebody sign a power of attorney like Thursday, right? Because they were introduced to me by some friends down there, and somebody took advantage of them, and she's out $200,000. They got the information off of her, and it was a standard, there's something wrong with your bank, and we really need this information. And what are your account numbers again? But I think going back to something that Kevin said, it's about, if you don't know them, watch out. It's just
Call our office. Give us a call. We'll let you know.
And I think that's an important addition to this conversation, because I think you would think I'm going to call my local police, right? You don't necessarily think about calling the DA's office, right?
No, and Kevin's a great guy to reach out to, and we can let you know right away. The other thing is ask them for their phone number to call back. They're not going to give you their phone number. They're not going to give you a number, if they say they're from the IRS or the sheriff's office, they're not going to give you a number to call back.
Right.
And as people get up in age, they're worried about losing control of some of the aspects of their life. They want to remain in their home. They don't want to admit to a grandson or a granddaughter that they got taken. And we had a detective in Auburn, did a great job. A woman on a romance scam lost $164,000, but he was able to secure $64,000 of it before it got dispersed. And so she was out 100, but she was able to save 64. The detective in Auburn was able to save 64,000 of it.
All right. Just to elaborate a little further on the romance scam, that romance scam took place in North Carolina. It was a 78-year-old woman who fell victim to a person who friend requested her on Facebook. Basically, he said he was in the military. He said he was 56 years old. He said he was going through a divorce and he was stationed overseas. This 78-year-old woman had been married twice. Her first husband, she got a divorce from. Second husband was deceased. Now, she's been in quarantine from COVID all this time. She's, running out of, there's not many people that she's in contact with on a daily basis. She accepts his friend requests. They're talking several times a day. It goes from a few minutes a day to a few hours a day. And before you know it, he's asking her for money. He's asking her for money so he can fly to see her. He's asking her for money for car repairs, for surgery for himself or for his daughter. She ends up wire transferring and gift cards, sending him that money. But she also sends money, $64,000 check to in a cashier's check to him, which he deposits in a bank in Auburn. Well, Her daughter finds out about the scam. She contacts the Auburn police. She gets a hold of a detective, Detective Keith Chipman. And this is where, I found this story because I had Detective Chipman in 3rd grade. I don't know how many years ago. I don't want to age myself or age him, but a long time ago. And
Arthur, you're on mute.
you're on mute, Arthur.
I just want to say, so about 5 years ago, you had him in 3rd grade, right?
About 5 years ago, probably maybe closer to 3 or 4. I'm not sure. Well, anyways, he did his due diligence. He got a freeze on that account, and she was able to get that $64,000 back. She's still out over $100,000 that she did do through gift cards and wire transfers. Social media, I just want to, isn't a place where we want to make friends. If someone friend requests you, if you don't know who that person is, you don't want to accept it. People can be anyone they want to be. They take a picture of someone, they use that as their profile picture, and they put it on. This gentleman said he was 56 years old. He was really only in his 20s. He had never been in the military. He had never been divorced. But this woman believed his story, and that's why she accepted his friend request. Now, the pandemic's almost over. We're all going to be able to see our family and friends again. We're going to be able to go to the senior center. They're going to be able to see Liz. They're going to be able to see all their friends and maybe new friends. And that's the place where you want to, make new connections, not someone who's reaching out to you on social media. There are too many scammers that are taking advantage of this situation right now. There's a lot of confusion going on, and they're running with it. And with that, the biggest population they're taking advantage of is our seniors, because they know our seniors, many of them have a little bit of nest egg, and they're getting their Social Security benefits and maybe a pension paid into them. So there's some money that they can go after. Be diligent, make it through this pandemic. We're gonna be fine.
Great advice.
And if anybody out there has any questions, we're awfully tech savvy here at the Senior Center. You might not expect it, but we are. So if you have a strange pop-up on your computer, or you have a friend request from someone that looks familiar but you're not sure, you can call us and just have a friendly conversation about it. You don't have to make a formal report of a scam or anything that you might be suspicious of, but we can talk you through it before it rises to the next level. So don't be afraid to just reach out and talk to us about anything that seems a little off. We're here to help.
That's a great point, Liz, because of course, if I'm a senior, I'm a little bit nervous about this. I don't want the police coming to my house. God, I don't want the DA coming to my house, So I may be very concerned about this, but to have them at least, to know that they can call you and just talk to you about who might be the best person to talk to. And maybe you do want to talk to the police. Maybe you do want to talk to the DA, just to kind of, just to give somebody to have kind of a filter, or people who say, maybe I didn't get scammed, but I'm a little nervous, just to have somebody to talk to. Because I think that's one of the problems now. I think Kevin, really gets to the heart of it. People have been isolated and feel isolated, and there isn't that kind of normal circle of people that you could kind of bounce things off of, So that's really an excellent point.
It is a great point, Liz, and you guys are right there. Just, hey, Liz, can I ask you a question? Of course.
So can I ask, I know we're getting a little close on time, but can I ask one question? We're getting close to what was supposed to be the end of tax season, because I know the returns was supposed to be filed by April 15th. I think that now got pushed back. But are there any particular scams that tend to show up right about now?
Yes. Yes. Kevin, I'll turn it over to you. But the IRS they claim to be the IRS all the time. The IRS has your Social Security number. They're not going to call you and ask you for it. Kevin, go ahead.
No, basically, I've shared information with the DA's communications, and we have posted that on social media. Basically, it's like Joe just said, they're contacting you, they're telling you they're from the IRS. First of all, they might be telling you that you didn't pay enough in your taxes and you owe more money, and they want you to, that red flag I told you about earlier, they want you to wire transfer them the money. Okay, and remember what I also said, the IRS is not going to contact you by phone. It's only going to be through the United States Postal Service. So if you get a phone call and anyone's saying they're from the IRS, it's a scam. They're not going to call you by phone. But unfortunately, the tax scam is going to last whole month longer now.
That's
I mean, we wanted, many people wanted an extension, but this extension gives scammers more opportunity to try to scam people out of their
And
money.
they're very good. They're
They're
very
hard-earned money.
I mean, a lot of your listeners are very sharp. Just ask them for a number and tell them you'll call them right back.
Yeah, I mean, scammers follow the headline. They know that now it's, like I said, tax deadline's up to May 17th. And with that said, I mean, the worst thing is you get a notification from the IRS that a tax return has already been filed in your name. Now, that letter most likely might not be a scam. And that's because what scammers do is they try to file the tax return before you file it, and they try to get the refund. And then when you file, it's kicking yours out, even though yours is legit, because one has already been filed in your behalf.
And by the way, I'm just going to mention something you just said, Joe, that you just mentioned. I'd never thought about that. It's just probably the best advice initially that if you want to just get them off the line, just say, look, I'm really busy right now. Give me your number. I'll call you back. Because they're never going to, they're never going to give you a number, right?
No.
And that's the real tip off. They're not going to give you a number. And it gets them off the line.
They give you a number. We usually can find out who they are, unless it's what they call a burner phone. Yeah. And then, give the number to your niece, your nephew, or at the senior center, or call the DA's office with the number, and we'll pass it on to the police.
Right. Right. That's terrific. That's terrific advice. That's terrific advice. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on. This was really great. I think this was really useful information. And I know that we'll have, the folks here at Northborough Cable are terrific. Dana, our producer, is great. So, any kind of information that you want on, whether it's as like a bar as we're talking, or at the end of the show, we're happy to put it on, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just really useful. But and Liz, it's great to have these folks on, and for them to know, for any of our viewers to know that if they, first of all, these two guys look like pretty friendly guys. They're not like these big, hot shot, blah, 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 they're not going to come with handcuffs. But also that if they're really worried about it, they can talk to you. They can talk to you.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Working for the DA, I can tell you, Joe is a true advocate for our seniors. And, just working underneath him just makes me realize, like, he really cares, and, like, that this job is important. Like, Joe believes it's important to be proactive rather than reactive. And that's a result of him starting all these programs, such as the community outreach programs.
Thanks, Kevin. But
before they happen.
I got into this business because of my father, and when you're in politics, it's a noble profession if you're helping people.
It's that's such a wonderful note to end on. It's a noble profession. It's a noble profession because you can do a lot. So many people think, oh my God, they're all blah, 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 but it's like, it's about,
It's not.
but it's about this. The essence of this is helping people, and so that's why we really appreciate both of you being on.
And that's why
thank you so much.
I appreciate you having us on the show today. Thank
Kevin
you.
was a teacher before this. He likes teaching.
All
right.
But I've gone from one extreme to the other. Is what I said. I was.
Thank you.
Pre-K
Thank you so much, Liz. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on. And Kevin, we'll have you here when we're open in person.
All right, thank you, Liz.
I think he's going to be a regular lecturer on the Council on Aging circuit here. So thank you, folks. Thank you very much for coming. Liz, thanks a million once again for getting these great guests. Folks, we hope you really enjoyed that. The information is available. Talk to the DA. Talk to Liz. When in doubt, as they've told you, listen, I can't talk to you right now. Give me a number. I'll call you back, right? That'll tell you how legit these folks are. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next installment of Frank and Mary here in Northborough. Thank you very much.